Okay, so this video is going to be of the floor, because it's just me talking, and also the audio quality is going to be shit, because, it's just, because I'm just making this video, like, out of the blue. This is not a planned video, or that I put any planning into. It's just a passionate rant, right out of my brain, based off of a video I saw by Adam from YMS, who is a YouTuber who I actually really like. I don't always agree with all his movie opinions, but I always find his reviews very interesting. I find his channel very interesting. He's good. You should honestly check him out. But he posted a video on one of his side channels recently, where he's he's talking about how he thinks it's very kind of random. I think he was slightly drunk when he posted it, but obviously he still posted it. So anyway, in this video he talks about how he thinks it is. Oh yeah, I should probably address this. I don't know if I addressed this. Sorry. Yeah, this is a paper mache helmet I am working on, because I'm gonna be trying to do a cosplay of Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. That's why this mess is here. This is not normally what the basement that I am in looks like. Anyway, that's not really what this video is about. What this video is about is YMS was talking about how he thinks it's unethical to create or promote art of specifically of people who are doing sexual acts while driving, which seems like a very specific thing, but more broadly in the video he kind of makes the argument that he thinks art that portrays scenarios which are potentially, have an element, a strong element of realism to them, that are, fairly realistic and not fantasy based, of people doing dangerous things, is immoral. That's what he argued. He also specifically said he doesn't think any kind of art should be illegal necessarily. He did clarify that point, but I still find this to be a very bizarre take from him, for quite a few reasons. I mean, and I'll also kind of give my opinion a little bit. One, I've seen him be extremely defensive of all kinds of art in the past. Way back when Digibro / Trixie. I'm sorry, I just think Digi because it's a video they did a long time ago, so I was thinking of who they were back then. But one of Trixie's older videos where she's talking about, like whether certain, where she's basically arguing that, like, hentai, even if it's controversial, isn't unethical or something like that. Been a while since I've actually watched the video, but I specifically remember Adam from YMS leaving a comment where he basically was saying that he agrees with the video. He did, I guess part of his argument is that it's, if you're talking about a fantasy scenario, that it's not problematic because it's so outside the norm that it's actually impossible. That's why he was saying he still like defends like furry art, I guess. But the okay, so there are movies that I like that I know he also likes, such as, for example, American Psycho. American Psycho portrays some pretty fucked up things that could potentially happen realistically. A lot of the stuff in that movie, at least. You know, I mean, obviously, at the end of the movie, there's a lot of weird shit that goes on. You could argue there's an element of fantasy to American Psycho, I guess, but largely the movie is grounded in a realistic world of stuff that could possibly happen. But the like you know, if you're gonna make this argument that you shouldn't portray anything that is dangerous in art that could be realistic or replicated, like you would have to be against American Psycho, right? You can't be consistent with that. You can't say and also like his video in and of itself, because he's arguing like that spreading the idea, like the reason that kind of art is unethical is because spreading the idea that you know, doing sexual acts while driving is like a thing you could do. He said just spreading that idea is dangerous because people might think that they like it and want to try it, and that it'll result in like car accidents. You know, but like your video, like the video he's making, he might be introducing that idea, like, and the tweet he made that he talks about in the video. I'm gonna leave a link to the video in the description for context. I don't want to go over all the context of the video in this one. I'm just ranting very off the top of my head. I'm rambling a lot, sorry. But you can't argue like you can't argue that like introducing that idea to people is immoral in a video where you are potentially introducing that idea to people, right? Like he's like, there's so many, like, it's totally possible people could be watching his video just like they might be looking at a piece of that art, and they might be thinking like, oh, I never thought about that, I want to do that now. You know, hopefully not, obviously. Like, obviously I agree with him that, you know, doing that is a stupid and dangerous idea and nobody should ever do that. In fact, I get, like, I live in an area that I'm just going to say is full of terrible drivers who don't drive safely a lot of the time, and it's extremely frustrating, and it makes me feel terrified every time I go on a walk. So, like, I understand the frustration to an extent, especially, you know, since he's saying he did actually see an example of, like, somebody doing that, which, you know, is obviously fucked up. But, like, I just feel like he's not being, I don't know, I feel like he's not being consistent in his views on this, and I don't understand how he could argue that he's not potentially introducing that concept to people with the video he made himself as well. Or if he's just going to argue that it shouldn't be portrayed in art for whatever reason, but you can still talk about it. I'm not even sure exactly how you'd make that argument, but, you know, even if he did, then how would you defend American Psycho then? I just think, I feel like it's something he hasn't thought about a lot. And I'd like to, you know, if he still holds this opinion, and by some unbelievably off chance happens to see this video somewhere on the internet, I would love him to like clarify a little further what he's talking about here. Because and I'll give my opinion quickly too, because personally I think, like, I do kind of agree that to some extent, media does have a responsibility. I probably, when I was younger and maybe slightly edgier as like a teenager or something, I might have made the argument like, all art is fine, anything goes, whatever. But like, I do kind of recognize, to some extent, art obviously can influence people, and that is both kind of a good thing and kind of a bad thing. But I wouldn't argue, which, I mean, I guess Adam said he wouldn't argue for either, but I wouldn't argue for banning art generally, but I might argue for banning certain kinds of art for children, because I think they're more easily influenced. And I think that adults who consume art need to have, if you're going to consume controversial art, you need to have good critical thinking skills, which I will admit, sadly, a lot of adults don't seem to have, which is unfortunate. I think this even goes for actually, funnily enough, this even goes for like the American Psycho movie. Like, look at what a lot of people say about American Psycho. A lot of people would say that American Psycho, a lot of people seem to think that American Psycho is unironically about how Patrick Bateman is like a cool dude and he's just, he's a Giga Chad, which, like, I thought those memes were funny when I first started seeing them around the internet, because I thought people were doing it ironically, but the more I look, the more I feel like a lot of people are doing it kind of unironically, you know what I mean? Obviously I think the intention of that movie is to criticize characters like Patrick Bateman, but that seemed to go over a lot of people's heads. There is an unfortunate amount of people who don't have good critical thinking skills, and I do think we should improve that. I just don't think the solution is getting rid of art, banning art, or even suggesting that certain kinds of art are inherently immoral. I guess that's all I have to say in this video. Sorry I rambled so much. I'm not used to making videos without a script. But I just wanted to respond to that. Bye.